So glad we're finally talking about the Gen Z stare. I have an example that happened in real time. If your For You page looks different than mine, we're talking about the Gen Z stare, where people in the service industry of a certain age don't even say hello to you. They stare at you. Why did I go in to pick up my order at Chipotle and the girl turns her head and just stares at me? I go, "Hi, I'm picking up for Ashley," and it always just feels like you're inconveniencing them.
The way that Gen Z is rebranding the Gen Z stare into something that it's not is so on brand. Like, no, we're not talking about when someone says something stupid and you have to take pause and just stare at them. We've all been doing that for years. No, the Gen Z stare is when I walk into Wawa and walk up to the cashier and say hello, and I'm met with, like, hello? Do I need to clock in? Like, what are we doing here?
Get up on the table, though. Get up on the table.
Is there a Gen Z stare, or does everybody get 20 points dumber in front of a fucking cash register?
I got charged for this month, and I need a refund immediately.
I'm so sorry. Did you cancel beforehand or give us a call or email or anything?
No, but me and my son haven't attended any classes for a couple of weeks, so we shouldn't have to pay anything.
Okay. Unless you've canceled or given us a heads up that you're canceling, there's so many kids on our roster we just...
Do you not hear what I'm saying?
Coming to bed, honey?
Yes, dear.
I will call the police to remove you if you do not
No,
leave.
you can
are
call
not going to come
them.
insulting the way I
Call
am.
them. You
Have a great day.
Boy,
man.
get out. Go. Yeah.
Look at him. Look at him. Can't even slam the door. This is crazy. In Chick Fil A.
So you might be wondering what led up to this interaction, and you wouldn't be mistaken based on what we see here in this clip to think that the employee is the aggressor in the situation. This is the only video still up that actually shows some of the situation, and this is on TikToker Devoria's page, and it has over 6 million views. Chick Fil A, all we wanted was sauce, but instead we got traumatized. The caption reads as, Devoria directly even mentions Chick Fil A, possibly in an additional attempt to get the employee in trouble. But would it be shocking to know that this is not actually the full story of the situation at all? Like so many other situations on the internet, this is a cherry-picked clip. In a now and still deleted part of the video, we see a much more polite employee trying to reason with the two, who are literally yelling at this person who appears to be a manager because employees threw away 2 sauce packets that they didn't want. You can literally see him being very attentive and very receptive to her request. But we then hear her friend in the back yelling, and then one of the two finally insults him, saying that he looks like Jeffrey Dahmer for some reason.
The Chick Fil A by my house and show that part. Okay? So, like I said, this is Cameron.
My name is Cameron?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, doesn't he look like Jeffrey Dahmer? So anyway,
Yes,
yeah.
You have a great day. I will call the police to remove you if you do not
No,
leave.
you can
are not
call
going to come
them.
insulting the way I
Call
am.
them.
You
Have a great day.
Boy,
man.
get out. Go. Yeah.
Look at him. Look at him. Can't even slam the door.
And this is just a side note, but I just really hate how Jeffrey Dahmer, a person who literally has caused so much pain in this world and literally is just an abhorrent human being, has become a joke or something to play about. I'm sick of hearing this man's name in song lyrics. I'm sick of y'all trying to cosplay him for Halloween. Like, can we stop? And to call someone that, or even associate someone with that, is of course going to generate a very, very negative response from anybody. And today we're going to dive into this entire situation because I really think it's the perfect microcosm of a wider thing that I'm seeing online, a trend of bullying and berating service workers online. But we are also going to discuss other things that I do think really correlate with the situation and other discourse that's been going online. Things like the new Gen Z stare discourse, and also kind of waking up some old tea with the workers don't say hi to me internet mayhem that happened last year. But first, I would like to thank you all so much for the support and love that I've been getting on my recent content. Thank you all so much. Like, the fact that we hit 10K like a few weeks ago, and now the fact that we're literally almost at 14,000 subscribers is literally insane. So I'd just like to thank you all again so much for the love and support that I've been getting on my content. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, like and subscribe, and leave a comment below on what you'd like to see next, because I have so many other situations that I'd like to cover. But without any further ado, let's get back into the video. So like I was saying, Devoria quickly deleted the original video, likely in an effort to hide her own egregious actions. Now, I will say, that Devoria wasn't the only one involved in this situation. It was Devoria and her friend Karen. I cannot confirm whether or not Karen was the one who originally posted the clip, but I do know that Devoria has the 6.5 million view clip currently up on her page. I said this earlier, but I just want to re-emphasize this, that this entire situation is over an employee throwing away sauces after they said they didn't want them and after she touched them. While I cannot literally 100% confirm Chick Fil A's policies regarding sauce, from what I've seen, it seems like it varies from location to location, and this is just not something to be upset by. I don't know where they got this idea that the employees were somehow in this massive conspiracy to be like horrible to them. I really think it goes back to something that people see a lot in customer service, which is customers feeling like employees following a company policy or store policy that they literally have no control over is them being a personally negative or nasty. Like, no, I'm so sorry the company is continuously trying to rip you off, but I promise I'm not sitting there in the business office making these decisions. Like, I'm so sorry that the price went up by $1, but yelling at Susie, who's also making like $10 an hour behind the counter, is not going to change the price of that. But yeah, I have no idea about this specific Chick Fil A restaurant, but I'm literally sure in the wake of COVID that many restaurants got stricter on reusing sauces that customers have already touched. And also there's the matter of they were in a probably very fast moving drive-through. Just throwing them in the trash was way easier than having to take them back inside. Keeps the flow moving. Oh, they didn't want these two sauces? Okay. You know what I mean? Just throw them away. Like, I really struggle to see where these two are coming at this idea that these employees were just doing this out of sheer malice. But regardless of them taking down the original post, which showed that Devoria and Karen were in the wrong, the internet literally forgets nothing, and quickly commentators called them out.
I can't stand no wannabe bully ass bitch. I just seen that video of them two women that was up in that Chick Fil A line arguing with their employee. And the whole reason she was mad was because he threw away a sauce that she gave back to him, bitch. I don't give a fuck if he stuck that hoe up his ass. What the fuck you mad for if you ain't want the sauce? She took offense to him throwing the shit as if since 2020 fast food places ain't been doing shit.
But I think you can also see in the comments of some of these videos which cover this situation, kind of expose them for being the aggressors. You can literally see people who have no idea that this was the case. For example, this comment where they say, wait, this is a backstory, oh F them. And I also saw other comments that were like, oh my gosh, I was literally laughing at this. Because the clip that she took, she literally just shows the guy like slamming the door, and of course it's like an anti-slam door, so he can't slam it. Embarrassing him for no reason, especially now that we know the context of this clip. Just really nasty, and I'm really tired of seeing these type of clips be posted online without the full context. This is also what really scares me about situations like this, and how they're taken to platforms like TikTok, where people who are usually the aggressors in this situation, or the ones who are in the wrong, can literally just shape and mold a situation to make themselves look like the helpless victims. This is literally just a delusional person's dream, to be able to pick and choose what clips they post online to garner online outrage against an employee and possibly even get them fired. Thankfully, most of the times they're literally delusional enough to post the entire interaction thinking that they're the ones in the right, but otherwise many people on the internet would have no idea that this was the case. And yes, Karen, one of the people involved in the situation, would eventually release an apology, and I think this was more so due to the levels of harassment that had come out against her in this situation, which of course, I'm going to say this loud and clear, I don't think y'all are the type to harass people in their comment sections, but I will just say don't harass her. You know, we can sit here and we can be like, girl, what were you thinking? Without going to her page, trying to dox her, because she was doxed. I'm not going to go too far into it. This is in her bio, so I guess I can say it, but she was a teacher, which a lot of people found interesting, given the fact that, you know, teachers are constantly under this type of stress, constantly being yelled at and mistreated by students. And this idea that a teacher would come into this drive-thru and literally be just horrible to these workers is just something that a lot of people weren't expecting to see come out of the situation. But in this apology, she kind of hinges to this idea that there was still this bad customer service, and literally still provides no evidence of this. She says, oh, I didn't know I would have to record whatever, but like, you knew you had to record that situation where the employee looked bad, so it's giving there was really no evidence. But alas, things may change. This is a developing situation, whatever.
Hey y'all, I messed up, and this is an apology, and I'm hoping that you guys will watch this full video, and if you have any questions, feel free to kindly message me and I'll get back to you as I can. I reacted to some disrespect and poor customer service that I experienced before I knew to press record on my phone, and I reacted to that disrespect by being disrespectful, which was not okay. I made a comment that was super insensitive and inappropriate about one of the team members named Cameron, and I said that he resembles Jeffrey Dahmer. And at the time when I made that comment, I did not consider the way that it was going to make Cameron feel. I didn't consider the weight of those words at the time when I made that comment, and I didn't consider the way that it was going to make so many other people feel. I am thankful for members of our community who have come forward and shed light on the impact of my comment, and that is where this apology is coming from. And I have apologized both on and off camera, and Chick Fil A has also looked into it and reached out to me and apologized for that poor customer service and for the disrespect from those employees who were involved. Not that that has excused what I said in any way. The impact of that comment did not match with my intentions, and my impact is all that matters. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post some resources on my story that I'm hoping you guys will check out. I've also removed those videos from my platform because, again, my intentions did not match up with the impact of that comment. And I'm also going to be less reactive in situations that are tense and when I feel disrespect, and be more mindful of the things that come out of my mouth and the way that it's going to make everyone feel in the long run.
A major thing that she talks about in this video and like a lot of other videos covering this situation is that the employees were giggling and laughing amongst themselves, which means they were talking about her. As someone who currently works in customer service over the summer, I talk to my coworkers all the time. We can laugh amongst ourselves. We can chit chat. Like, we're literally human beings. Just because we're at work doesn't mean we cannot talk. Like, we're still working, but like, how would you feel if at your job, your boss just suddenly went, "You're talking about me," and just started screaming at you? I'm so sorry. And I feel like I could keep talking about this situation forever and ever because it really irks me. But I think there is a bigger conversation to be had here. Several, actually, because Chick Fil A is not actually a good company. I don't know if I need to tell a lot of people this because I think a lot of people know their stances on things like LGBTQ rights, but I came across a whole trove of labor violations and fines levied against franchisees for literally breaking labor laws. And a lot of these cases involve minors as well, which I think is just another level on this. This company, for some reason, loves to use the labor of minors and also loves to break labor laws designed around minors. It's like, mind you, this is one of the companies that is always hiring. I remember people in high school always worked for Chick Fil A. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those high school jobs. Mind you, this company doesn't seem to care about labor laws that much. And I know it differs franchisee to franchisee, but the sheer amount of cases that I was seeing. Here's one case I found. Federal investigators have assessed $187,467 in civil penalties for employing 237 minors in violation of child labor provisions and recovered nearly $47,000 in back wages and liquidated damages for over 101 employees at two St. George Chick Fil A franchise restaurants that required workers to clock out for every break under 20 minutes without compensation. So not only did this location basically rob employees by stealing their wages, not paying them what they deserved, but this case was just so insane to me because it's like, if you're that broke, why are you trying to buy a franchise? If you're that greedy, mind you, you're paying these people minimum wage most likely. So it's giving like, you really wanted them 10 cents so bad. You really want them 5 cents so bad. Imagine having to go to the bathroom at work and having to clock out for 5 minutes. I do think one thing that needs to be noted is that I feel like a lot of people are very unaware of their rights as it pertains to like labor laws. I was very unaware of it. And there is a lot of ways that places are able to skirt labor laws as well, because I remember when I was working at certain places, they'll change the week to be like, oh, the week is actually this day to this day instead of Sunday to Sunday. So that way, when you're a minor and you're working at this place, they can schedule you every single day or way over the amount of allotted hours that are technically allowed for somebody who's still in high school. But actually, it wasn't the same week. I'm sorry, our week is this day to this day. And it's like, girl, the week should be Sunday to Sunday everywhere. I don't care. Sorry, that's just a little thing that I noticed at some of the jobs that I worked at way back when I was a little minor. And this is not the only case at all for Chick Fil A locations, as a franchisee was also fined over $12,000 for forcing children to work excessively during school days. And this is just off observation, but I was also able to find clips of employees talking about it and just discourse online. But isn't it really odd how this company insists on having their workers be outside for hours in the heat for minimum wage? And I live in a state where it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot outside all during summer, but every time I drive past a little Chick Fil A down the street, I always see workers outside. They're always outside. They're never inside. I'm absolutely sure that you could literally just be like every other restaurant and just not let your employees die in the sweltering heat outside. And employees online did also discuss not rotating out like company policy dictates and being forced to stay outside in the heat for hours. In response to a Reddit thread that asked how long employees were outside on hot days, one employee wrote, quote, "Depends. I've been out there for 3+ hours with only restroom breaks. They say we rotate every 30 minutes, but that doesn't happen." And I bring up these cases and this mistreatment of workers to kind of bring in a wider point into this whole discussion, because I feel like this situation of her being so upset about this sauce, of this minor convenience in her day being just so massive that she had to take it online, just shows the level of disconnect there is between how people think service workers are treated and how they actually are treated. Listen, of course, nobody should be bullied when they're going out to shop, right? But I again have to emphasize, these people are probably out in the hot sun for 5, 6, 7 hours, depending on what time of the day it was or what shift they take. Because Chick Fil A opens at the crack of dawn, y'all. So these people are probably outside for hours. Maybe they hadn't got their breaks. Maybe they had a bad day. Possibly even forgot to put the sauces in that she asked for. But her making it into this big deal, her literally insulting this manager, taking these clips of them and going online to bully them, just shows how prevalent the dehumanization of these service workers is ingrained into current American society. The way I've seen people get on the internet and create these guidelines for how people who get paid basically subhuman wages, not able to live off of wages, you'd think these workers were like CEOs or executives or something. But one of the more recent trends that I've seen is the Gen Z stare trend, which is this idea, this concept that Gen Z service workers don't know how to talk to customers, and instead of saying hello, they just stare. So, as somebody who's very online or very on the internet, what does this sound like to you? Because do y'all remember last year when there was another discourse that literally reminds me exactly of this one? The cashiers don't say hello anymore trend that kind of took over internet discourse for a few weeks. At this point, it just really feels like these trend cycles are just cannibalizing each other. The same discourse topics are coming up year after year. But here's just one of my takes on this Gen Z stare discourse. Hey, what can I get for you today? Hey, can I get you anything? I can help you right over here. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of y'all don't be paying attention. And listen, you don't have to pay attention, but like, if we're going to sit here and moan and groan about employees not saying next every single second or not, oh my gosh. And I think one of the main videos that I saw that kind of sparked this whole discourse, that kind of was the catalyst for this whole discourse, was a lady complaining that she went to Chipotle, and this is what happened.
So glad we're finally talking about the Gen Z stare. I have an example that happened in real time. If your For You page looks different than mine, we're talking about the Gen Z stare, where people in the service industry of a certain age don't even say hello to you. They stare at you. Why did I go in to pick up my order at Chipotle, and the girl turns her head and just stares at me? I go, "Hi, I'm picking up for Ashley," and it always just feels like you're inconveniencing them. That's the tone they set when they don't say hello. And I don't care if this makes me a Karen. I'm sick of the argument of they don't get paid enough to be nice. Yeah, but every single job description in the world, especially customer facing, the very first descriptor is greet customers or have some sort of customer service skill. This generation is wild. And I've had it happen before at like a drive-through where you get to the window and they just look at you like this. But this girl didn't even raise her eyebrows at me to prompt me to speak, and that really threw me off. The eyebrow lift thing is like rude to me in my opinion as well, but like completely blank glazed over stare, please.
Mind you, as somebody who is a casual Chipotle enjoyer and sometimes goes in there, and low-key I did try to work there this summer. Thank God they were on there. Actually, we're not hiring Kick, because I probably would have hated every day of work if I worked at Chipotle, because it is insanely busy. It is literally like a factory. It is like clockwork. There's sometimes lines that pack outside of the building at Chipotle. So do you ever stop to think like, oh my gosh, maybe this employee has been working for 5 hours. Maybe they're tired. Maybe a lot of people have not been paying attention when they do say, hey guys, how are you doing today? I can help whoever's next. There's also this case of like, and a lot of people have mentioned this, that people will literally just, instead of interacting with the employee and, responding to the polite gesture when they will say like, hey, I can help you right here, they'll just be like, chicken, rice, okay. We don't want to have conversations. I've noticed as a cashier, customers won't say hello to cashiers anymore. There's this arbitrary standard, and we'll also get more into what I have an issue with about this whole trend as well. And I did see a lot of TikToks that were covering the situation, but I think one of the funnier and more interesting TikToks that I saw kind of concerning this situation was explaining some of the things that you hear in customer service and how they really do just make you sit and stare.
Oh, Gen Z just does the Gen Z stare. They don't know how to talk to people. Fair. A lot of Gen Z don't know how to talk to people. But a lot of older generations talk too much, too rudely, and too proudly while being too stupid. I cannot tell you. You have to work in the food industry to fully grasp how stupid people can be. I remember one day I was serving this customer. She's ordering a burger. She was like, okay, I want this cheeseburger with no cheese on it. My first red flag. Then she says, I want to have pepper jack on this burger. I look at her, I'm confused. I'm like, ma'am, you said you didn't want cheese on your burger? She says, yes. I said, ma'am, are you talking about like specific cheeses or like you just don't want any cheese on your burger? She says, yes. I said, ma'am, are you aware pepper jack is the type of cheese we offer? She looks at me and she scoffs like dumb. And she's like, clearly I'm not talking about the cheese then. Then what are you talking about? And I was like, okay, ma'am, we don't offer anything that's pepper jack except for our cheese. She said, put pepper jack on the burger. Y'all have done it before. I want the pepper jack that's not the cheese. And I'm like, I really don't know what this lady talking about. But I'm like, okay. So, ma'am, I'm putting the pepper jack that we offer on your burger. She says, yes. Are you deaf? That's what I just said. Okay. So her order comes out. I give it to her. She opens the burger. She says, what is cheese doing on my burger? I said, ma'am, you said to put pepper jack on your burger. But she asked me, are you dumb? I said, not the cheese. And like she starts going on this whole spiel. I clocked out immediately. I was like, let me go get my manager. She has this whole conversation with the manager, all upset, calling me all types of names. The manager pulls me to the side and said, oh, she was asking for fried jalapenos on her burger. I'm sorry. Is there a world that I'm not from where pepper jack is fried jalapenos? I've had a person get mad at me because their iced tea was too cold. I really don't know what these people want from me. Of course, I'm going to just start staring at you. I'm staring at you like you dumb. You're stupid because you are.
A lot of people have been kind of sharing their own customer stories, their own experiences with customers. I'm sorry, ma'am, did you want like pepper flakes sprinkled on your burger? Do you want me to go back into the farm that we have out back and, you know, grind up the peppers, sprinkle them on your burger? I'm so sorry. Like, this is probably just a casual family dining establishment. And this story, I think, really does encompass a lot of what customer service workers experience is on the daily entitlement and just some of the insane and impossible requests that their livelihoods and jobs are literally held over.
Now, I will say that I did also see some people sit here and say, that's not what we're talking about. Everybody's been doing that for a long time. We're talking specifically about Gen Z and how they won't interact with customers. And I just felt like I had to clock in. So I'll show you that video.
The way that Gen Z is rebranding the Gen Z stare into something that it's not is so on brand. Like, no, we're not talking about when someone says something stupid and you have to take pause and just stare at them. We've all been doing that for years. No, the Gen Z stare is when I walk into Wawa and walk up to the cashier and say hello, and I'm met with, like, hello? Do I need to clock in? Like, what are we doing here? I need you all to just accept the fact that this is your version of the millennial pause. It's the millennial pause in real life.
Yeah, that video actually, like, I don't know why. If it was the mannerisms of the person, if it was just the attitude of the person, maybe I'm just triggered. After working 7 hours yesterday, this whole comment section irritated me. Everything about this video irritated me. The first video, the lady was more like accommodating. I was still irritated over the fact that she didn't seem to care about like the wages. She just kind of threw that argument right out of the door, didn't even care. This second one, her basically saying, do I have to clock in? Yeah, that irritated me. And then what also irritated me about the second one is the comment section, because the comment section is full of people who are like, I used to work in customer service. When you say that, you know it's over. I know you can understand some of it, but like, if you haven't been working customer service since like COVID, you have no idea how bad it's gotten. If you're saying like Gen Z's social development has been stunted, baby, the customers has also been stunted because people have gotten way more needy, way more insane. It's just gone to a fever pitch. It's literally like boomer talking points, or what people say are boomer talking points, in quote. And it's like added like 3 buzzwords to it, and y'all ran with it. And I just find it really, really hilarious. Y'all have officially reached unk status, and y'all are officially just speaking down to the younger generations again. Just exactly the same way they did to y'all. Just exactly the same way boomers did to millennials. It's so funny.
And I was looking into this kind of idea of customer service workers being mistreated. I found a really amazing article written by Kate Morgan at the BBC. And although it was written in 2022, I really think a lot of its points still stand up today. In the article titled Why People Lash Out at Service Workers, Morgan kind of just explains how bad of a problem that this is really becoming, stating that, quote, research from the Institute of Consumer Service has shown that more than half of customer-facing employees report increased incidences of abuse since the start of the pandemic. But another really important point that I saw in this article, and something that I was actually wanting to talk about, was the idea of power dynamics. That customers can feel superior to workers and utilize this power imbalance to take out their anger on these workers. So even if your real gripe is with your boss or partner, the stakes are significantly lower with service workers. Explode at work or home, and you'll have to pick up the pieces later, wrote Morgan. And here's just another kind of section of the article that I found really interesting. But basically in this article, Melanie Morrison had been interviewed, and she is a professor of psychology at the University of Saskatchewan in Canada. She says scapegoat theory, the psychological term for people's tendency to look for somebody to blame, helps explain why people lash out at these types of employees rather than, say, family members or colleagues. People aren't going to lose their mind at work or school, says Morrison. It's going to happen on the phone with a customer service worker, or at the discount store, or at McDonald's. This is because people who aren't in service positions can feel superior to those who are, and it's much easier to punch down. That one line, I think, encompasses a lot of what causes these interactions to feel so outlandish. Imagine if your partner came home and you wanted to be nice for them and you wanted to make them a dinner. Can I have a cheeseburger with no cheese, but I want pepper jack? I feel like sometimes people literally make it their mission to just make customer service workers' lives miserable and just give them these impossible requests. And I also did want to bring this up because I truly do feel as if service workers become a metaphorical punching bag for customers, causing a lot of emotional labor for workers who really often aren't cared enough by like these massive corporations or companies that they're employed by to get the resources that they need to deal with this emotional labor. There's also this idea of hierarchy baked into the entire customer service model as it exists currently. The customer is always right, and the workers are always seen as replaceable, and even sometimes seen as a burden to these companies and corporations. And this is not just in customer service, which I think is why I'm so saddened by the fact that people can literally be mistreated by their bosses, underpaid, and will still come into these local fast food places and be absolutely horrific to workers. There is this idea of kind of this, rich, entitled, spoiled Karen or whatever, but I feel like there is also other people who work blue-collar jobs or maybe had a hard day at the factory, and they will still literally come into these restaurants and wreak havoc. And it's like, we're on the same team, partner. We're both not getting paid what we're worth. We're both being exploited. I guess because there's somebody so easily accessible for you to directly take that anger out on, but I really think it's so important to just step back and realize, hey, this person is not getting paid a living wage. This person is just trying to work their job. And when you do really think deeper into this idea of hierarchy, that somehow because, I don't know, you're college educated and you have this job that maybe pays $50K a year, that you're better than these service workers, I think is a great strategy by the 1% to avoid them actually having to face scrutiny. As long as you're sitting here smugly looking down at service workers as if they're like peasants and you think you made it, but in reality, we're both in the same boat, y'all. The top 1% of households in America own over 31% of the wealth in the country. So while you sit down and yell at your local Walmart employee, Jeff Bezos is literally renting out Venice for his wedding, and celebrities are going to space. So it's like, what are we sitting here like yelling at these employees for? I do think also that if you look back at like mass movements that have occurred that generally were targeting the 1%, you haven't really seen that in quite a while, because I do think the tools of division have gotten way fiercer, but I do think there's this class differential. God forbid you work fast food. Oh God, that's the worst of the worst for some reason. Go put the fries in the bag, bro. You see this, I think, reflected, this attitude that these jobs are lowly, that these people aren't really people, that somehow because you work a customer service job that you failed at life. This mentality, I think, is really well reflected in a lot of the content that you see online. The print content where they'll go to like Target or Walmart and literally just harass these employees for fun, just make these employees' lives and days horrific, embarrass them brutally online, turn them into memes. It's like, it really is just reflective of the lack of empathy and also the lack of kind of humanization of these people. They're not seen as human, they're seen as objects. Objects that can be used as props in a prank video. Now, just to start to wrap up my thoughts on the Gen Z stare and the employees won't say hello to me thing, I really think what happened here is a total distortion of what people who are speaking out against this are saying. I don't think it's that these people are totally against saying hello to customers. Like, I did see content, especially when I was looking back at the say hello to trend to customers, because I truly feel like Gen Z won't talk to us anymore, the Gen Z stare thing is literally just this repackaged. Like, am I crazy for saying that? It's literally just the customers won't say hello to me. And these new trends keep coming up every like 5 to 6 business months. Y'all are literally saying the same thing, and we literally just had this argument like 5 months ago. But I do think some people, yes, were very forceful. I saw a video, I will try to find it, of somebody being like, y'all just want us to tap dance for you, da da da. Why do you want this very subservient person? I think it's showing the fact that these people are human, that the tasks required by you in a customer service job are legitimately taxing, especially emotionally, mentally. And also, it shows the fact that this is actually, I saw Hannah Alonso do a video on this. This is actually a skill. Despite the fact that we've been taught that these jobs are invaluable, that they're so replaceable, that they're so easy to get, that whatever, they're unskilled labor positions or whatever, there is legitimate skills that go into this. There are people who are good at customer service, people who are bad at customer service, and it is something that you actually legitimately have to work at. I do think this detachment of the skill aspect and this idea that this is just something that's just, it's so easy to do. Well, it actually can be quite hard. It's actually still a job, despite what you've been told or what you might think about these people. And again, just going back to this idea that these people are totally against saying hello. If you've ever worked any customer service position, I promise you that the say hi, smile to everybody you meet is literally drilled into your brain as a worker. I've had days where I literally have smiled so much or talked so much, been like, hey, how are you doing? Like made the small talk so much that my mouth will literally start to hurt. Like my jaw will literally physically start to hurt. So when I tell you, and I promise you that the workers already know this. So again, it really speaks to this idea of hierarchy, the idea that these jobs are just so easy, so replaceable, because y'all will feel so entitled. It feels like talking down to. It's like you're telling these people how to do their jobs when I feel like they low-key already know how to do their jobs generally. And of course, there are people who are bad at their customer service jobs / not actively doing their jobs. That happens in every position. But again, everybody's human. Yes, there are probably sometimes people are really mean to you in customer service, which is not good. But I feel like where a lot of this anger and frustration that you might be seeing and the responses to some of these trends is that these employees are constantly being told how to do their job, not only online, but also in person. When you work customer service, you'll hear people say, oh my gosh, this is taking so long. Oh my gosh, XYZ. I remember when I used to do returns for Target. And sometimes I'm a very anxious person, but I don't know, some people would be very impatient. And it's like, okay, you came here to return an item that you didn't have a receipt for, that I literally had to look up the barcode for, that was an online only item. Sometimes I have to pull out my phone, look up this item, try to find the barcode so I could give you your refund. It's like, guys, they actually make the processes very complex. Breaking news, these jobs are actually jobs, and they actually have procedures and policies, and they're actually quite complicated. And I feel like if y'all are so good with telling these workers how to do their jobs, go behind the counter, make your own frappuccino. Okay, since we got 5 minutes, since we got 2 minutes, like go make your own Chipotle bowl. Go fold that burrito, okay? Imagine if there was a trend dedicated to just calling everybody in your specific job terrible at their job, in addition to like people in real life telling you how to do your job. Man, does anybody else feel like, I don't know, business analysts these days, they're really not doing their jobs. They're really actually doing terrible at their jobs, some would say. Business analysts don't say hi to me anymore on LinkedIn. Come on, guys. Gen Z, get it together. This really also emphasizes the lack of empathy for these service workers. Like, do you ever even consider the fact that this person might be having a bad day, or maybe they just might be bone tired after standing up for 8 hours, because God knows these jobs don't want you to sit down? That's one thing that gagged me. Even like pharmacists in America are often made to stand up for some reason. And that is a job that you legitimately have like training for or whatever. But like pharmacists in America stand up. I was looking at this clip from something, and the pharmacists in Japan were literally just like sitting down, which makes sense because it's like, they don't have to, like, what is this obsession with, like, if you're sitting, you're not working? That doesn't apply to office jobs for some reason, because it's like, okay, some companies don't do this. Like Aldi is one of the ones that like actually allows cashiers to sit. So I don't need a cashier to stand up for me. I know they're still doing their job. They can scan those items while sitting down. Literally the amount of complications and the amount of pain and soreness that comes from standing up on your feet 8 hours a day when it's not really needed. But yeah, these workers are human. They might be having a bad moment, a bad day. I'm so sorry if you got stared at in the line of McDonald's because you made a legitimately ridiculous request, or if your cashier didn't say hello to you after they've been working hours on their feet. But I also do think that this again goes to show the fact that customer service is something that's actually important, something that should actually be valued in a society that is so heavily reliant on it. So it's like, is customer service valued or not? Some of the same people who will sit here and complain about customer service workers, whatever, will be like, well, why is minimum wage so high? They don't deserve this much, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, girl, so is customer service valued or not? Is it a skill or not? Is it unskilled labor or is it not? Because I'm hearing y'all sit here and complain about all these different things, but I'm still hearing also this overwhelming opinion that these workers are not valued and that they don't deserve to earn a living wage. And just the last few thoughts, because I found this map really interesting. I found it online because it shows how many people don't even get sick leave, how many people are getting paid less than $15 an hour, which even $15 an hour, low key, in a lot of places, especially in a part-time position, is not enough to sustain yourself at all. But that's honestly all from me for today. I had to get a lot of thoughts out on this situation, on this whole entire Gen Z stare discourse, because it was irritating me real bad. But just remember that we're all human. Just be nice to everybody. Let's just all be more compassionate towards each other. Realize that we're all just human and that we all deserve better. Guys, listen, really woke opinion coming in. What if people were able to live off of their work? Like, what if people were able to get a job and actually make enough to sustain living? But I'll see y'all all next week or next time. Thank you so much for watching. And let me know what you think down below, because I was talking about Graveyard Girl and she kind of had a controversy regarding her not really treating Starbucks workers the best. And I saw a comment, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to make a video about that like next week. Isn't that kind of crazy? Oh, and also I did get rid of the green screen because I was really sad because it looked really good when I was editing it and only looking at the freeze frames. And then I played it and I saw my hair flickering and I was like, I'm triggered. I'm really upset about that. But regardless, I will be coming back maybe with some more visual elements in my arsenal soon. So we'll see about that. But I'll see everybody next time. Bye, everybody. Have a great day, or whatever time you're watching this. Bye.